To battleground Quebec, the province of Quebec, where today Pierre-Karl Peladeau ended weeks of speculation and confirmed that yes, he is going to try to win the leadership of the Parti Quebecois, and then he's going to try to break up the country. All right, Sun Media columnist Eric Duhaime is here in Ottawa. It's good to see you here in Ottawa, Montreal, Eric.
Good to be here, David.
No surprise that Peladeau is in the race.
No.
But maybe a bit of surprise the way he announced it. Normally when these leaders announce that I'm ready to lead the country, the province, it's a big schlemazel, it's on live television, hundreds of people. Very low-key sort of approach.
Very low-key. He was supposed, it was planned. We saw it on the social media. He invited everybody. He was doing a speech in front of a crowd at University of Montreal students. And he ended up in the middle of his speech saying that he's running for the leadership of the party. It didn't, you know, there was no huge announcement, no huge signs, no huge crowds or endorsement.
Reporters are following him around no matter what. So
Absolutely.
there'd be the press there. But there was no, this is the one, you'd better show up kind of thing.
But honestly, I mean, since since the last election, since Pauline Marois announced that she resigned when she lost her seat and the prime ministership, he was on stage with her, and we were already talking about the three amigos, remember, who were fighting against each other for the leadership.
If Marois does not want, isn't favoring Peladeau to win, she definitely wanted him in the race.
Absolutely.
That was my sense.
Absolutely. For the Parti Quebecois, they need a candidate like Pierre-Karl Peladeau no matter what. And honestly, it's going to be a good test for him because he's untested politically speaking. I mean, the guy was a successful businessman.
He's been an MLA or MNA for a few months now.
A few months only, and the only thing we talked about it since is his leadership candidacy almost. So there's different things that he needs to do, and we might be surprised in the next few months because it's one thing to convince the Parti Quebecois card-carrying members to win a leadership. It's another one to convince the average voters in Quebec. And that's going to be the problem with Peladeau. He has to try to reconcile both over the next few days.
The polls show that he's popular personally, both with Parti Quebecois supporters and more broadly with the electorate. So he's got that working for him, but the key is, can he be a politician? And here's the other thing that struck me as not odd, but I guess I should be surprised. His leadership's going to be all about sovereignty.
Absolutely. And that's why we have to understand what Pierre-Karl Peladeau is bringing to the table. Quebec has been, for the last half a century, for the last 50 years, been split between the Federalists and the Separatists. Every election was almost a quasi-referendum. We voted, even federally, we were voting for the Bloc or one of the other Federalist parties. Now it was changing. At the end of Mario Dumont, with the Coalition for the Future of Quebec of François Legault,
there's a different option.
There's a different option. And even federally, the Bloc is gone or almost gone. And it's a battle between the left wing and the right wing or the center. And the same thing is happening provincially with Quebec Solidaire also on the left pushing and growing, the CAQ also growing. Peladeau's real challenge is not even to make the Parti Quebecois numbers go up. It's to make sure that we go back to the old axis of separatist federalists. Because on the right and left axis, he has a problem because historically he's been associated to the right and his party's on the left. So he's not going to win votes there, obviously. He's going to try to create a coalition of separatists. Yeah, so that's why he's not going to talk a lot about, like he spoke 2 weeks ago in favor of private health care. The unions within the Parti Quebecois didn't like that line that much. It didn't go very well with them. So he needs to make sure, and we know what he thinks of the CBC. That doesn't fly very well with the unions within his party as well.
Radio-Canada in Quebec, there's lots of supporters of the separatist cause, and he needs to have them on board.
Absolutely. So he might recruit a few extra candidates next time around at CBC French. So he needs to have that coalition of separatists and make sure that it doesn't become a left and right debate, because then he has a huge problem, and another candidate could actually win against him during the leadership.
I mean, it's just such a strange story because, of course, Peladeau's business background, anti-union background, and now he needs all those people that are separatists. And even more odd still is at one point the PQ leader and the BQ leader have often campaigned together. Again, Mario Beaulieu, as you know, he's from a completely different mindset than Peladeau. They, I guess, only united in that Beaulieu, like Peladeau, let's get back to being sovereignists. That's their key message.
Again, you remember the statement of Peladeau 2 weeks ago when he said that the
BQ was irrelevant.
The BQ was irrelevant in Ottawa. We don't need that. It's a distraction. He kind of flip-flopped a little, but not completely on that issue. But don't expect to see him hand in hand with Mario Beaulieu next year for the federal election. I think he's going to hide. We also know that he kind of likes Harper. I mean, they used to have a good...
He's been to dinner at 24 Sussex with Harper.
Absolutely, with his wife.
Yeah.
And so they used to have a good connection. Is that going to still be there or not? I'm sure that, there's people in Ottawa that are looking at him currently and wondering, where is Peladeau going to be? Is it the guy that we know in business that used to be
That's what his supporters are asking.
Yes. Are you the guy who's defending, right-wing issues, common sense, taxpayers, everything? Or are you a new leader?
This lefty socialist separatist.
Union activist, separatist. So that's going to be the question over the next few weeks. And
handicap this.
Yeah.
Right now, everybody thinks it's his to lose.
Yeah.
If you're there's what, 5 others right now declared?
There's 6 candidates.
Oh, 6 altogether. If you're the other guys, how do you win? How do you see a path to victory if you're Jean-François Lisée, for example?
Jean-François Lisée has positioned himself as the anti-Pierre-Carl Peladeau candidate.
Right,
obviously, he's the first one who started to question the integrity and the fact that he owns 40% of the media in Quebec and that there's a conflict of interest there potentially. So he's the one who's clearly positioned the anti-Peladeau. I think that if he loses this leadership, he could say bye-bye to his political career altogether. I don't think Peladeau will welcome him and his team.
No, you got to do it.
His guess is that Peladeau will melt because he's untested and he could go down. And we saw that he could be gas-prone. Yeah, he said a few things over the top. When you're a business leader, you can't dictate to people what to do.
Yeah.
You're the CEO. You decide it's your way or the highway. When you're in a political party and you're with activists that are volunteers, it's another problem. And when you have elected members who think that they were elected because of themselves and you deserve to give them something, it's a different option than when it's your employee. So it's going to be interesting to see if Peladeau could adopt or not. It wouldn't be the first time that a business person has problem to become a politician.
Well, we saw Ignatieff came right back and right into leadership of the federal Liberals and had some problems.
And it's been a huge problem. So we'll have to see. For now, it's the first day, so everything is fun, is nice for him.
Let's see how he's doing in a month.
It could be a little bit more difficult when the leadership race arrives. But honestly, the lead is so big. When you look at the polls, it's like 10-1 in his favor. Yeah. So it will be very, very difficult for him to lose this leadership race. But nothing's impossible in politics, as you know.
Eric Duhaime, good to see you here in Ottawa. Drop by anytime. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.